inside, our hearts so built by, and we'll never tire. We do not comply. We do not comply.
Hey, I ran into somebody that knows you.
Who's that?
Vince Sardo.
Oh, I work with Vince in the fire department.
Yeah.
For years.
He's we already recorded it, but his is getting released last week of September or first week of October about his book.
Okay.
Yeah, he wrote a book.
Did he?
Yeah. So if you're not doing anything October 4th down at the Scranton Art House from 5 to like 8, he's having a book release and signing and all that shit. Yeah.
What did he write about?
So he interviewed 17 or 18 people. Basically about like, I don't know if you know the history of his life, but it hasn't been like,
It's been,
a mixture of good decisions. So it's called Legs on a Table, and it's about, so he interviewed like 17, 18 people, John Basiliga, Bobby Cordero, what the hell is Lori Cadden, a bunch of just like, how do you manage your life? How do you, like, what are some like advice and all this shit? So it's basically like a self-motivation book a little bit. And then he's doing 2 more.
Really?
Oh yeah. It's really interesting.
Nice.
So
I did not think he had a book in it when I worked with him. He was kind of a wild man.
Well, he's on our podcast. He's like, and then I died. And I was like, wait. I'm like, what? You left the Latter-day Saints and then like fucking died? Within like 3 months. I'm like, how do you find that much drugs that fast? So
drug.
He was on everything. He said that they would do a roulette thing.
Oh, like a pill roulette?
No, they would just spin it and be like, here's what we're taking tonight.
Oh, that's crazy.
I talked to him this afternoon, and I said, was there ever an option on that wheel for take nothing? And he goes, no, we never thought about doing that. So, all right, you good, Dan?
I'm good. We can go.
How's my head?
You're good.
How's my head?
Good.
I can't see it.
Good. I don't want you to see it. Don't let her see herself.
Okay.
Oh, no, let me.
Do not let her see herself. So, thank you both for coming. For those that don't know, Colin's my brother. But no, my sister, Melissa, this is, we've been trying to get you on for a while. And obviously it took some time. There was things going on, but I think now there's like this aggressive, what would you call it? Atmosphere in the country to get people healthy, to understand what are the things that are detrimental to our health, mentally, physically, environment, and how to move forward with that. And you guys, so Colin Kearney, did I say that right? Kearney. Mm-hmm. You spell it weird.
I know. That's my great grandfather.
So you used to be a firefighter.
Yes.
And now you're a nurse.
Yep.
So you just went from saving people's lives to saving more people's lives in a different way.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Getting killed being a nurse.
That's true. Unless you have the one guy who's on like meth.
My mom worked in trauma for like 30 years. She might disagree with you. Some of the people that came in there.
Yeah, there's always exceptions. Always exceptions.
So, and my sister is one of the closest, biologically, you're the closest person in my life. So we might be the 2 closest people in this room, in this world.
Yes.
So, and you are terrified of doing this.
I'm throwing up right now.
Yeah. So we're going to find a way for you to get through this. Another thing is 3/4 of us are sick or getting over it. And my wife and I went to the Drip Bar yesterday, and we got some flu fighter and some fluids that they would give you at the hospital. And if I didn't do that, I think I would feel like 10 pounds of shit today, and I don't, which is great. I still have a little residual stuff, and then okay. So tell me real quick about the Drip Bar. Tell me what it is and what it does.
So the Drip Bar is a franchise.
And I'm going to move this as you talk so that we can hear your voice as much as possible.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Yeah, you want to hear that boom? Remember I told you about the boom before? Okay.
So the Drip Bar is an IV vitamin therapy facility. We are a medical facility. We have a medical director. We have fabulous nurses like Colin, who... and
in case the place catches fire, you have Colin.
And I have Colin for that, too.
There you go.
No, but we do IV vitamin therapy. So to break it down, it is a needle in your arm, and we
Just put fluids in you.
yeah, with vitamins.
Why? Like, what in your life were you like, oh, I want to do this?
So my background and where I got to where I am today came from being pretty sick as a kid. I don't know if you remember.
I remember some things, but like when you were a kid, you don't really
No. So
you don't know what it is.
Yeah. So
And you don't me as a kid didn't put severity on it.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I wasn't
it was
like, I was
normal.
like, oh, she has, chicken pox and weird things.
So
you know?
I had chronic ear infections to the point where I was like 3. They had to take out my adenoids. Then
Those are the hangy down things in your throat, right?
no, they're behind your tonsils.
Okay.
So then I would have strep throat constantly. My tonsils were always enlarged. They were huge. Every time I got sick, I would get strep throat. So finally, when I was 13, I had strep throat 11 times in 1 year.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And finally, they were like, we have to remove these. They're inflamed all the time. She has to have them out. Which kind of sucked because now everything just goes right to my chest. So
So you bypass the first line of defense.
Yeah, pretty much. Then I was pretty good. I never got strep throat again, knock on wood. It was great.
But then
But then I went to college. I went to Keystone first, and then after 2 years, I transferred down to Florida, Fort Myers. I went to Florida Gulf Coast University, ended up transferring to Barry University. But when I first got down there, when you get there and you have to do all these routine things. So one of the things that they said I had to get was this HPV shot. So I got the shot.
So what's that, an HPV, human papilloma virus?
Yeah. They
vaccine?
said it was going to protect against cervical cancer.
Right.
So I was like, okay.
Does that mean that they've cured cancer?
Right. No big deal after that. I kind of just noticed I was having like little TMI here, irregular periods, really terrible periods. And I didn't think anything of it. So fast forward.
So irregular is not like once a month. It's just, it has
I
no
would
real
stop
schedule.
getting it. And then if I got it, it would be like terrible, like aggressively terrible, in a fetal position on the ground. Like, this is terrible.
For all those women out there, us as men have no idea what that's like.
You never will.
And we never will.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. We should.
We're working on it. It's 2024. We're working on men getting
I've seen an
periods.
Austin Powers meme that says differently.
I saw some simulators.
So
It's right.
it's not.
Okay. But anyway, so
You were noticing that your reproductive system was
I just
behaving.
noticed it. It just is a series of things that happen. So then fast forward to now I'm 25 and I get, I'm working out super hard. I'm doing the gym twice a day for a reason. We were doing like this competition thing. It was at the gym I was at. You paid like $100 to get in, and the winner of the competition won $2,500. So like it was whoever loses the most body fat. Well, I get MRSA.
In Florida.
In Florida.
Yeah.
On my face. So I go.
Now, what's MRSA?
So MRSA is like it's staph, but it's antibiotic resistant staph infection, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Wherever I'm wrong, please step in. Colin. Yeah.
So
I thought it was. I thought it was something from Lord of the Rings.
yeah, no. So it was a Sunday, and I noticed that like my face got swollen here, and I actually thought like I had an abscess on my tooth or something. It was killing me. So I don't know what made me do it, but the next morning when I woke up, I was like, I gotta call a dermatologist, or yeah,
Dermatologist.
Mm-hmm. So I called around and I got in, and the lady walked in. She's like, "Ooh," and I was like, "What?" She's like, "We're gonna have to lance your face," and I was like, "Okay,
That's not good." Yeah.
No, I was like, "Okay." So at this point, I had like a little bit of like smaller than a golf ball size, like swell here. So she lances my face, and then they culture it. They sent me home with ibuprofen, antibiotics, and we'll see you tomorrow. So I don't know if every time my heartbeat, I felt it in my face. Like it was,
Right, it's throbbing.
Oh my God, it's throbbing. So the next day I woke up. Now the swelling was like from here to here and you couldn't see my jawline anymore. And I was like, that's probably not good.
Yeah.
So I went back down and they were like, oh no, like you need to go to the hospital. And I was like, okay. They're like, we need you to go. You need IV antibiotics immediately. What's your pain? I was like, pretty high. So they're like, all right, you need pain meds. So I go to the emergency room. They were great. They did, I got the IV antibiotics. I think it was like Demerol. It was great for 30 minutes and then it was not.
Yeah.
And they did a scan and they're like, you don't have an abscess. We're going to send you home. At this point, though, it was covered and patched. So like what they do is they get a medicated gauze and they pack it into my wound at this point.
Okay.
So they're like, and we can't take that off. And I was like, all right, whatever. And so I wasn't getting any better. It kept hurting. So that night I leave the hospital. I call mom and dad and they're like, we're on our way. And
But this is, they're in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Oh no, they're in Pennsylvania. At this point I had told them I was going to the hospital. And next thing I knew, I called them. I was like, oh, I'm leaving the hospital. And they're like, we're on our way. We're driving to Philly right now. We'll be there tonight. And I was like, well, you're overreacting. They're sending me home.
Right.
And they're like, okay, well, we'll get a fun weekend out of it. So they get down at like midnight and mom comes in and she was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's the matter? She's like, this is way worse in person than at the time we had Skype.
Yeah.
She's like, this is way worse. Cause now at this point, so MRSA is like red and hot to the touch. So you could see it and it was traveling down my neck and you literally couldn't see this jawline at this point. It was so swollen. And then the red here. So they get in at like 12 and I was like, oh, I'm going to go to bed. At 3:00 in the morning, I woke up and I like couldn't breathe. So I went in, I thought it was anxiety. So I went into the bathroom and I was like, get it together. Like you're having anxiety.
Yeah.
So like 30 minutes later, I was like, all right, so I go in and wake up mom and dad and they immediately I just said dad and jumped up and put his clothes on. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
I was like, I can't breathe. Cause I said, dad, I can't breathe. And, we went back to the emergency room of the place that, told me to get out or not get out,
That
but
discharged
discharged
you
me.
earlier,
Yeah. So we get back there and we're there and the guy's like, listen, we can't say that this has anything to do with why she's not breathing. And dad wouldn't take that as an answer. He was like, you got to be kidding me. He's like, she was here today. You treated her. And he's like, how could you say that? He's like, well, we can't touch that. The doctor who did it has to. And dad's like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
He's like, we're at the emergency room. And he was like, sorry.
Yeah.
So dad was furious. So we leave. It was like 7:00 in the morning. The dermatologist opened at 8. So we waited. So we called and we go in and the lady walks in the room and she turns white. She's like, why are you here? And
The dermatologist. said,
yeah. She goes, why are you here? And I was like, well, the hospital sent me home. And she goes, I sent you to be admitted. She looked at mom and dad and she goes, this is life or death. She needs to go now. So she called the hospital that we went to. They had no beds there. So then she called another hospital. It's called Lee Memorial. But it's the ongoing joke in Florida that you go to Lee Memorial to die. So I was like, wait, no.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there. But that was the only place they had a bed. So by 1:00 though, I'm in a bed. I'm there. I'm getting vancomycin. An infectious disease specialist who was a friend of mine's. In fact, he had MRSA. I don't remember.
Yeah. Dan
Yeah.
Rolfing. Yeah.
They had called and she had left her hospital to come to Lehigh because they had a really great relationship. So she saw me there and she's like, all right, we got the meds going in you, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't find this out till a year later, but she took mom and dad in the hallway and she's like, it's 50-50. And mom goes, I'm sorry, what? And she goes, it's 50-50. She goes, if it has traveled into her heart and lungs, there's nothing I could do for her. She's like, we can make her comfortable. At this point, though, it was in my bloodstream because they did blood and they saw it. So that was on a Wednesday. By Thursday, the culture didn't come back that it was MRSA. And I would have already been dead. So
Oh.
yeah. So there was a lot of failures there
Yeah.
to get, because if mom and dad never came down, I would have listened to the hospital
And you'd be dead.
and I'd be dead. Dad advocating for me saved my life, and them coming down to advocate for me had saved my life because I was 25. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know any better. It was like, this is the doctor. We have to listen to everything that they say.
Colin,
Yes, sir.
does this seem like standard operating procedure for infectious diseases?
100%. That's what they teach in school. Absolutely not. No, I mean, that's
and you tell me, how bad is MRSA and what is it?
MRSA is a heavy duty thing. Now,
You can pull that closer to yourself if you want to.
okay, so
You can pull it. You don't have to get closer to it. You have total
Yeah,
control. Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
So it's methicillin resistant Staph aureus. Some people they have it and they don't know it because it's colonized in your nose. Just because you touch things, you rub your nose and it gets in there. Normally doesn't cause a problem. However, you get immunocompromised, you get a massive infection on your face or anything else, then that's already in your body. You have a higher chance of getting.
And it's reproducing, right?
It's reproducing and it's resistant to basically every antibiotic except vancomycin. So, and vancomycin that's a nuke. Like that will, like that.
Like as a medicine.
As a
Oh,
medicine, it kills good and bad bacteria. So
It did.
I mean, it's not your friend. You want to be on it the least amount of time possible.
No, and one of the things that they did, and even like you guys, I think I've spoken about it, and some of the nurses were like, I can't believe because it's an IV. So they didn't put a port in me or anything. So they would put through my vein, and then afterwards they would just flush it. But when they flushed it, the first time they flushed it, I was like, oh my God, stop. What are you putting? They're like, oh, it's just saline. I was like, it is burning like I've never felt before in my life. It felt like it was acid going through my veins. So those veins that they now use, though, are done. I can't do anything in them.
So they kind of destroyed your veins.
Yeah, it'll create scar tissue in there because it's so.
This is the medicine.
Medicine, yeah.
But it's life-saving. If I didn't have it, I wouldn't be here today.
Okay.
But if it turned from MRSA to MRSI, there's nothing they could do. But that's how fast it happened. From Monday to Wednesday, by Thursday, I would have been dead if I didn't.
And this is something that's just like a bacteria on stuff.
Oh, it's on everything. You have staph on you all the time, the time.
And no one knows. Does most people know this, that you have like this stuff on you all the time?
No,
Probably not.
Probably
but
not.
There's no reason to think about it because 99% of it's harmless.
But that one moment, like you gotta know, you gotta
It's like a
recognize
perfect
what
storm.
it is. So did that keep going?
No, go ahead.
Was that moment in time kind of like something where it's like, because I remember being down there when Dan had it, and Dan, he had it on his leg, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you're in denial when you're going through it. Dan's was he almost lost his entire leg.
Yeah, I remember that.
But
it was
at
like
the
a big
time,
thing. They were packing it with crap and.
I mean, they lanced him all the way down his thigh and they left it open.
And this was just from a dude's, he played baseball. This is just from him sliding into second.
So what happened was they think that there was a piece of wood in there. And what happened was a pus pocket filled it. And when he slid the right way and ruptured the pus because they ended up draining out like a cup or two bigger than that of just pus. But he had all the symptoms. I mean, he had a fever. He had all the symptoms of being sick. I had just a swollen face. I had nothing, no symptoms.
So you had no symptoms of like, oh, this would be.
Yeah, like I didn't feel crappy. I just was like, man, my face is killing me.
So in your journey from.
Well, so then this happened. So after this, you're getting pumped full of antibiotics. So my face started to break out in like a beard of acne. And so after I get out of the hospital, I was at outpatient for 2 weeks. I had to do the stuff up my nose, like you said, because it colonizes in your nose. I had to do outpatient for 2 weeks. And then mom and dad brought me home for a little bit. I took a semester off of school. But I had this beard of acne and it wouldn't go away. Nothing topographical was helping. And I was like, it was all like this cystic acne. And so they were like, oh, like you just had your system pumped full of, it might be all the toxins coming out. And I was like, okay. So then I finally go back to the OB and she's like, man, your face. And I was like, I know. And she was like, I'm going to check your ovaries. I'm just going to check some stuff. So we did an ultrasound and she was like, oh. And I was like, oh. And she's like, she starts counting. She's like, she got to like 70 on one ovary. She's like, you have over 70 cysts on each of your ovaries. And I was like, what does that mean? She's like, you need to go see an endocrinologist. And I was like, okay. So.
And an endocrinologist is like
for your endocrine system.
Yeah, your endocrine system.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, what does that do? Like, what is your endocrine system in your body?
Regulates all the hormones in your body.
So is that the thing? Like, if you
You have like hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, you go to an endocrinologist. If you have like rheumatoid arthritis, what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? Autoimmune disorders. You go to like you can go to, well, that's a rheumatologist.
So is that the thing? But is that the thing that will release, like, it'll release adrenaline or dopamine or?
It's important. It's your endocrine system.
Yeah.
Any of the hormones.
So I go to the endocrinologist, and this guy apparently was known for being a dick. Excuse me. So he was. Well, he walks into the office, and here I am. I'm 26 years old. You know, I'm all by myself at this point. He walks into the office. He walks right up to me and looks down my shirt. Okay. Didn't say like who he is, nothing. I was like, he goes, we have no hair on your chest. And I was like, oh my God. I was like,
because that could be increased testosterone or.
Right.
Yeah.
So he goes, and honestly, if this wasn't going on with your face, I wouldn't even treat you or see you. And I was like, I'm Melissa. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And he was like,
he's looking at a Buick.
Yeah. So he's like looking down and he's writing on his prescription pad and he's like, all right. He's like, oh, so he said, he goes, you're not classic PCOS. And I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
So he's writing stuff down. He's like, all right. He goes, I'm going to put you on spironolactone, metformin, a birth control that shuts your ovaries off. He goes, don't drink alcohol on this and you're probably never be able to have kids. And walked out of the room.
And this is at 25, 26 years old.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I curse?
Yeah,
okay.
Obviously.
So I go.
Dan? I mean, we don't need to like celebrate.
No, I'm not. No.
To speak freely.
So he leaves the room and I'm in utter disbelief. What just happened?
Yeah, I can't have a baby.
I was like, I can't have a baby.
Metformin's pretty intense too, isn't it?
So, but he tells me nothing. He just says PCOS, metformin, spironolactone, birth control, out the door.
Yeah.
So I call mom. At this point, I'm shaking. I'm sobbing. I was like, I'm never going to be able to have kids, like blah, blah. And she's like, calm down. And so then I say to her, and she goes, well, I just watched something on TV last night and they just grew an ear out of a fucking petri dish. So I don't want anyone to ever tell you you're not going to have kids. Right. And I was like, all right, well, that's comforting.
My mom watched Netflix and now all of a sudden she's a doctor.
No, it wasn't Netflix. It was too long ago. So I go on all these meds. I go on the metformin. I instantly lose like 20 pounds. I can't eat. I'm nauseous every morning. So what I find out is that I have PCOS and I'm insulin resistant. So
okay.
I don't have type 2 diabetes, but I have insulin resistance. So, you know, the birth control kind of turned my system off.
Yeah.
So I stopped producing so many cysts on my ovaries. I've had a couple rupture, which is excruciating.
Yeah.
And there's nothing they could do for you. Nothing.
So what do they think causes PCOS?
They don't really know.
Are there hypotheses? Like, is it environmental? Is it just genetic? Is it like, what is it?
I think that
because it seems like something that has become prevalent, you know, since I was in high school. PCOS does not seem like I never heard of PCOS until you got it.
Yeah.
Never heard
me
and
either.
now there's a lot of people I talk to who are like, we have PCOS.
I mean, every day I talk to someone, they're like, oh, I have that too. And I'm like, you do?
It seems strange.
You could go
we could speculate.
You could speculate. You could go down a lot of rabbit holes. You know, it may or may not be an adverse reaction to the
HPV vaccine.
It may or may not be.
Well, somebody should look into that.
Yeah, someone should look into it. People have looked into it. I think it's on the insert as a possibility of it happening.
Polycystic
ovarian syndrome. Yeah. I don't know why I have it. I just know I have it.
So you, since you were 25, have had some sort of autoimmune problem.
Right. So then fast forward to my wedding. You know, everyone tries to lose weight for their wedding. I really know nutrition. I really know working out. I really know you have to eat, what you have to eat, how much you have to eat. I mean, I was literally eating carrots for days in a row and I couldn't lose a pound. So I get married. I don't think anything of it. Now Will and I go to try to have a child. So I look at my stuff. All my stuff is good. At this point, like I'm good to have a baby. Everything's working. He unfortunately has an issue. He was diagnosed with I'm not going to talk about it. No, I'm not going to talk about it here.
Okay.
But needless to say,
it's a scary thing, but
I just am not going to talk about it right now.
Okay.
But anyways, during this process, I find out more about myself because now you have to get genetic testing. You have to get all this blood work done. And come to find out, at this point, though, my thyroid was out of control. And they actually were like, it's so high. It could be thyroid cancer. Blah, blah, blah. So come to find out I have Hashimoto.
Okay.
So which is a thyroid autoimmune issue. It's like low. So there's hypo and hyper. So I'm hypo, which would make like weight gain, fatigue. It would make up for all the symptoms I was feeling. But then I find out during all these things that I had another thing called antiphospholipid antibody syndrome. I had excessive natural killer cells that I never knew.
Are those T cells?
No, they're actually, what exactly are
the natural killer cells?
Natural killer cells.
So I had too many. They were so high that I had that.
They're white blood cell.
So
they attack everything. I think.
Yeah. So what I was told is
those are like your bouncers of your system.
Yeah. Your immune system attacking itself.
Yeah. Which is an autoimmune disease, right? Is your immune system attacks itself.
Right.
Yeah.
But had I not gone through the issues I was going through with Will and I would have never have known these things, and I would have had miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage, they said.
Right.
So I ended up I did get pregnant. I ended up having to go to Allentown it was called intralipids. So every 4 weeks I had to get a 4-hour infusion to suppress my natural killer cells. So my body wouldn't reject the fetus.
Every week?
No, every 4 weeks till I was 24 weeks pregnant.
So even while you're pregnant, you have to go down every 4 weeks
to
do these things to minimize your natural killer cells.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but in the meantime, I also had to give myself Lovenox injections my entire pregnancy because this antiphospholipid antibody syndrome is a blood clotting disorder.
Where it does or does not clot?
It will. So I had to do Lovenox to thin my blood. So I wouldn't throw a blood clot to the baby or the baby wouldn't throw a blood clot to me.
Okay.
So I would have killed the baby would have killed us both.
Okay.
Yeah. So
this is nuts.
Yeah. So I had to do that my whole pregnancy, but at 36 weeks, you switch to heparin and then you have to give yourself 2 injections a day because it's a 12-hour release instead of a 24-hour.
So did you have to give yourself injections to get pregnant and then you had to give yourself injections while you were pregnant?
Yes.
Do you know how many injections over that period of time that you took?
Hundreds.
Every day?
Hundreds. No, in the whole time, hundreds. But I mean,
Colin, aren't you happy you don't have a uterus?
1000%.
But after I had my son, actually during my pregnancy is when I kind of had like an epiphany of
during it.
Yeah. It brought me. I went down this food because you're thinking like I have to nourish my body for my baby, and I started to realize our food is incredibly toxic.
Yeah.
And I just started to realize all these things I never knew and about glyphosate and them spraying our foods and GMOs and
red dyes
and all the stuff I really wish I didn't know at this point because like your little bubble it's a very safe place.
Yeah.
But once you read it, you can't unknow it.
Right.
So that's been a very hard thing for me.
That's like being like, hey, there's a ghost in your basement. You know it for sure. It's hard for you to go like, there's no ghost in the basement.
Right.
The ghost is in the basement.
So I became very adamant about what I put in my body.
Yeah.
It was, what do I have to do to keep this pregnancy and to nourish myself and this baby?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but you were all very like, oh my God, she's becoming one of those.
Yes, we were.
Yes.
We were all like that.
Yes.
Yes.
And you know, I just said, it's my body. It's my baby.
Yeah.
I'm not harming him.
Which everyone should have respected you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have a very
Intense family.
intense family. So, I mean, I had Colton. I had to have an emergency C-section. At 39 weeks, I went in for a visit. I had been leaking, and I was like, I don't know what's happening. It's my first pregnancy.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, come on in. I was like, you're supposed to see me Friday. It was a Monday. So I go in, and the doctor's like, checks me out. She's like, oh, you're 4 centimeters.
Dilated?
Yeah. She's like, this is great. She goes, we're going to induce you tonight. And I was like, the fuck you are. I was like, that's not happening. And she was like, no, yes, it is. She goes, because right here in your chart, she goes, it says, if your cervix is favorable, we're to induce you because you're at a high risk for a stillborn.
Oh,
And I was like,
another terrifying thing.
I was like, wait, what?
And that was the first time you heard that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And she goes, oh, yeah, it says right here in your high risk chart.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, this is the first I'm hearing about it. So I go home and I look at my husband and I was like, I'm not fucking going. And he looked at me and he was like, what? You know, Will.
Yeah.
He was like, you gotta go. And I was like, I'm not going. And I walked away. So everyone's calling him, are you excited? And he's like, I'm not excited. She's not going. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I don't know. Stop calling me.
Yeah.
So he came in and he was like, why don't you take a nap and think about it? And I was like, I'll nap, but I'm not going. Because at this point, what they teach you in all these Lama classes, and we went to every class, is what they teach you is once you're at a higher risk for having to have a C-section if they induce you with the Pitocin.
Okay.
And I was like, this isn't happening. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Why are we jumping the gun? How about monitor me? Like, how about we're going to bring you in the hospital. We're going to watch you.
Yeah.
We're going to watch you and the baby and make sure everything's all right.
Yeah.
So I take a nap. I wake up and Will's like, it's like, we got to go at 6:00. So I'm crying. I was like, I'm not going. And he's like, you got to calm down. Like, we're supposed to be in like a Zen place and you're not Zen. And so anyways, he convinces me to go. I go. Well, Colton couldn't handle the Pitocin. His heart rate dropped it dropped 3 times. And the doctor said, if it happens one more time, we have 2 minutes to get him out. So I had the emergency C-section. They let me labor for over 18 hours. And then I had the emergency C-section.
And then
after
we're
I
getting
had
to you, Colin.
Yeah,
We're
so
getting to you.
after, so
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
so
Hey,
sorry
take
for
your
taking
time.
so much time. So after, I'm trying to paint a picture.
I understand.
So after I had Colton.
Bob Ross.
Yeah.
This is the person that was afraid of the microphone 10 minutes ago, by the way.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
I can't stop talking.
Yeah.
No, so after I had Colton, it was very like,
Dan, don't take my picture.
Yeah.
don't look at me. So anyways, after I had Colton, I mean, I tried to breastfeed. I couldn't. I tried to do all the things that I wanted to do. Oh, by the way, they laughed at me in the hospital when I told them I had a birth plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I know.
They shouldn't, but whatever.
But
That was the day she had him. Like, we were all terrified.
Mhm.
And it was 2017.
Yeah.
I didn't cry for 7 years. I got sober in 2010. Didn't cry for 7 years, right? I wasn't, obviously with the C-section stuff, it's not like the whole family is going to be like, hey, we're in the room, we're doing this. Like, she had to be recovery. Everybody went home. I went up to the room all by myself, walked in, saw her, immediately burst out crying. It was the first time I cried in 7 years. And then she my brother-in-law put the baby in my hands. And now she's sitting in the bed after having a C-section, going through all that shit for 9-15 months, just trying to get pregnant, finally getting the baby. So I'm holding the baby. I start weeping. What does she do? She starts taking fucking pictures of me as I'm sitting there crying.
Well, yeah, blackmail, brother.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow,
But I thought it was beautiful. She sent it to me, and I'm like, you know what? In that really moment where I was vulnerable, I will always, but I always have that photo on my phone. But that was like, I didn't go through. I knew everything that you went through, and I knew all the terrible shit that you went through. And it just like when I remember everything about that room, what the color was, where you were sitting, what you looked like, and then sitting down, and I just wept.
Yeah.
It was the first time I wept in front of my brother-in-law. I'm like, oh, he's gonna think I'm a pussy.
Wow.
You know, because he's like a man's man, and he's like, it's all good, man. It's all good. I was like, all right. So, but from there,
I just was very like, it's all organic, non-GMO. I won't budge on this.
Now, a GMO is a genetically modified food.
Whatever. Yeah.
So basically, for people who don't know, a GMO is something that's like not natural.
No, it's created in a lab so that they could...
With seeds.
It's a GMO seed, so then they could spray glyphosate on it and it won't kill the plant.
But it'll kill all the weeds around.
Yeah.
Okay. So you changed your whole diet to make sure that your child, Colton, child did not have, Capri Suns and Skittles.
He still hasn't.
I know every now and again, but you made a conscious effort to make sure that like everything you were eating, you knew where it was sourced, you knew what was in it, and you knew what it was doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you did that, what happened?
To
yourself.
So I became better.
And what do you mean by better?
I started feeling better. So I stopped. So I had talked to a physician after this, my physician, and I had said,
and you started like, this is like when
I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And he was like, what aren't you doing? I was like, I'm not taking one more medication. So I had to take all of it during my pregnancy because I had to take the metformin. But at this point, up until that point, I mean, I was on an antidepressant, Xanax, ADHD medication. I was on spironolactone, birth control, metformin, Synthroid for my thyroid. I was on so much stuff and I was like, I'm done. And he was like, I will help you, but you have to listen to me. And I said, okay. So I got off all my medication after I had Colton. I mean, I only took the metformin while I was pregnant, but at that point I was like, oh my gosh, I don't need any of this other stuff.
Yeah.
I think I took my thyroid stuff too. But we had a plan and it was, I had to eat every 3 hours, healthy, nutritious food, small meals to keep my insulin levels okay. Because if they drop, I get real hypoglycemic and I start to shake, faint, that kind of stuff. And I listened to him and we did my blood work and we did everything and everything was in range. Everything was normal.
But prior to that, it wasn't.
No. Oh my gosh, no.
So just by changing your diet
and exercising regularly,
you changed your
outcome of
your negative physiology of your body.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to jump to Colin. Colin,
sir.
If I'm not mistaken, I overheard you say that you kind of went through a journey too. I mean, it wasn't like pregnancy and stuff like that, but you at some point you got to make a choice to like go into yoga and like mind, body, spirit stuff. Like what brought you to that?
Stress.
You were stressed out just being a nurse or firefighter or both?
No. Stress being a firefighter, but we had a gym in the back of the firehouse. So every single day we're out working out an hour.
What city were you in?
Dunmore.
Dunmore?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And, nice. You get out all that excess energy. You feel better. Everything is good. And I go to work in the hospital. I'm doing 12-hour shifts, 4 or 5 days a week, 7A to 7P. I come out, I'm too tired.
You're fried.
Yeah. And then it just gets to the point where I got to do something because I can't if I keep going on like this, I'm going to end up in the ground because I'm either going to end up in the ground, I'm going to kill somebody because like the stress levels were out of control.
I'm going to die or you're going to die.
So one of the other nurses I work with was talking about how, they were taking yoga and all this other stuff. I said, okay, we'll give it a shot. And,
I mean, that's a big deal though. Like just to even make that decision to go. Cause I remember for me, like I tried yoga once and I was like, this is difficult.
Right. So it was, let's give it a go. Cause like at that point, my joints are hurting. I can't lift the heavy weights that I was lifting, 10 years earlier at the firehouse. So let's try something different. Went, took it. It was hard. Did it the one time and then it was like, okay, kind of forgot about it. And then my wife got into hot yoga. She's like, you got to try this. This is something completely different. So tried it for 2 weeks, and man, that's what they get you, because you get that dopamine.
Oh, you got the taste.
You get that dopamine release afterwards. All you want to do is keep going back for
It's like a street dealer.
Absolutely. You're chasing that. Chasing it every time. And that was the same thing. Remarkable. Like, it just, after one class, you walk out, you could set me on fire, man. I wouldn't care, because everything is just back down. Like, instead of being up here, I'm back down. I can, handle everything is nice.
But that's like, so for people who don't know, like, that is about breathing, movement, patience.
Correct.
Giving yourself grace. Yeah.
Basically being present, being mindful. You're not thinking about what happened earlier in the day. You're not thinking about what you're doing after you get done. You're thinking about what you're doing right there, right then. Breathe in, move. Breathe out, yeah. Breathe out, move. Breathe in, move. Breathe out, move.
How long did it take you to, like, get that? Like, where it's like, breathe in, move, breathe out, just think of the present, don't think of the future, don't think of the past.
Dude, I'm still doing that.
Okay, so like, I talked to a lot of people when you talk about meditation and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, but my mind wanders, and I'm like, it's
always going to.
It's always going to.
That's why they call it a practice, because you're not perfect at it.
So have you found it getting easier and easier for you?
Getting into the poses easier, yes. Breathing, yes. Centering my mind, it still depends on the day. It's a struggle.
So what do? You always go back to your breath?
Always. Yep. In, out. In through the nose, out through the nose. Just breathe in, breathe out. If that's not working, you say a little mantra in your head. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Whatever. Anything that, instead of, looking around and thinking, the only thing you're doing, you're just focusing on one thing. Say, okay, now we get back.
Did you think that was like frou-frou weird shit before you started doing it?
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me?
Only ladies do this.
Yeah, no, that was, no.
And now do you think you're a dumbass for thinking that?
100%. Yeah, I wish I did it much earlier.
So this has made it so that you haven't needed any sort of like psychotropic or
No. Never had to. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that, but no, I've never.
You were trying to avoid it.
Yeah.
And look, man, I'm not trying to like set you up here, but there's nothing in your mind that makes you think like this isn't an amazing alternative for mental health.
I think it goes, I mean, honestly, it's kind of I think everything kind of ties in hand. So mental health is a huge thing. Some people can go and do yoga and it helps them because, whatever they have going on, this works for them. Other people, they can do the yoga, they can do the meditation, and it doesn't work and they need extra help. You got to do whatever you got to do. You have to listen to your body because everybody's different.
So listening to your body, did you ever like eat a Big Mac and go to yoga and you're like, oh, this is terrible. Maybe I won't eat a Big Mac.
Stupid idea, yeah.
So did you change your diet?
Yeah, I mean, well, no, I didn't change my diet. My wife changed my diet. So
is she hardcore on like or is she aware?
She's aware because she also she's got some stuff going on that you regulate with you regulate it with your diet. Things are better, and she's not a short order cook, so she's not going to cook 5 different meals. So everybody gets on board, and so yeah, we eat healthier. I love my beer, so I'm still going to have my beer, but I try to moderation there. Do my yoga, try to walk, ride the bike.
Do you see, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus or anything under the bus, but like, how long have you been a nurse?
12 years.
Have you seen more and more people not kind of going down the road that you guys decided with mind, body, spirit stuff? Do you think that it's like too easy to, either a pill or something like that, instead of saying like, maybe you just got to go for a walk? So
honestly, it depends. I will say, so I worked in the cardiothoracic ICU.
Oh, that's not top dog.
Not at all. So we dealt with the open hearts. Now, people that come in for open heart surgery for one reason or another, they're not the healthiest people. So everything, like they have to modify everything immediately after having major surgery. So the following day, they get up, they get out of bed. We get them up, we get them walking. Their diet is completely changed. We have to regulate their insulin to help with their healing factors. And, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but that's the surgeons that are there. They say, this is what you have to, if you want to get better, we don't want to put you on, a ton of medications.
Things, yeah.
We want you to get up. We want you to move, the one surgeon, his big thing was, give me a second here. Activity alleviates anxiety.
That's true. Yeah, that's totally true.
So like you'd see them sitting around and they're staring, okay, why don't we go for a walk? Okay, let's go for a walk. You go for a walk, we go for a walk. Their entire hospital course, they see themselves, well, yesterday I was laying in a bed and I had all these tubes coming out. Today I'm up, I'm walking, I can eat, I can poop.
Yeah.
So they're seeing
pooping is underrated. Like it's really important.
100%.
Very important. It's very important to poop.
So they see themselves getting better. When you can see yourself getting better, that's like an impetus to keep doing what you're doing. So that way you don't go back to where you were.
Do you find that a lot of people it definitely is like a profound, like a lifestyle change.
Oh yeah.
And is it because it's such a traumatic moment for them, the cardiothoracic, do you see that it's easier for them to like make like, oh, this is an easy switch for me. Like whatever I got to do, drink 8 gallons of water a day, stop eating, Funyuns and whatchamacallits and Nestle Crunch. Mm-hmm. Like, do you see them because of that change or is it kind of like hit or miss?
It's a very.
And they see the ad for Lucky Charms. They're like, I'm going to go get those. They're good.
Well, I just heard a story. Someone just said to me they had a cardiac patient and whatever, the people snuck them in Burger King right after surgery.
Again, it's like any other personal experience. What you make of it, what you will. Some people come in, they, poor me. This isn't my fault. I can't wait to get out of here and go smoke a pack of cigarettes and get back to what I was doing. Other people are like, you know what? It's a huge wake up call, man. So I got to do something to change or I'm going to end up in the ground.
See, I think what like I'm trying to, what at least here on this podcast, we talk about some crazy shit on here, but
I watch
good or bad. I don't know what that means. I think what we want to do is we want to educate people on, without like going too far into the weeds of it all, is like I think anybody can change. They just got to want to change. And what I think that a lot of times is they feel like if they change, they're alone and it's the wrong thing. And I think you need like a good support group or people around you to say, yep, you got this. Mm-hmm. Like I read an article, I think it was Maxim magazine back in the day, which they should bring that back.
Yeah, we had a good discussion about that.
Where there was a story of this guy. He was incredibly overweight. He was like 400 pounds, right? And his buddies, like, they loved him. But the one guy said, I'm going to text you every day that you're a fat fuck until you get it. And he did that every day for 18 months. And the guy finally was like, okay, I'm tired of this. I did it, right? So when you ask that guy further on down the road, he lost like 200 pounds. Like he looks great.
Right.
You go, what made you do that? And it was his persistence.
Accountability.
His persistence. He would call me a fat fuck, but he would be there with me. I want you to get better. I love you. I want you to be around all of us. Mm-hmm. And I don't see, like, I know there is a lot of that. It's just very like, in the last 4 years, my eyes have been really opened to like what is in the food, what is in the water, what is in the air. Mm-hmm. And it makes me really concerned that like nobody knows. And we keep eating these things and we keep drinking water that we don't know what's in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know what's in the Scranton water.
I know it's in the Scranton water.
It's delicious.
It's like 5 times worse than Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
I have the study. If you want to,
it's not the study. It's the
so they went. An independent company went up to the Lake Scranton, did a surface water test, and they found 30 contaminants.
14.
Really?
Yes.
Exceeded.
14
cancer causing.
Yeah. Cancer causing contaminants. And what the thing that people don't realize is, which is very, and you read it, and you go, and it says how many it services, and it's 240,000 people. And then you go, all right, well, your body's an organ. Your body's soluble. So there's certain things that you can put on your body and it'll absorb it because it's an organ. Every time you take a shower, every time you take a bath, like what are you absorbing?
Everything. Your skin is the biggest organ.
Right. So like that kind of like opened my eyes to be like, okay, what is this? The water, the water you're drinking right now, I have no idea if that wasn't made by a couple in Chicago in their bathroom.
Right.
I have no idea, but we're going on faith here.
Absolutely.
So
With microplastics.
I think that what you guys are doing at your personal journeys and then leading to the Drip Bar. I mean,
so the Drip Bar gives you everything that your body.
well, that's what
is.
I'm trying to get into.
I'm sorry, I
right?
didn't explain that
So,
in the beginning.
You want to switch seats?
Yeah, I do actually. So your body's made
forget.
up about 60% water.
Okay.
Okay, so you need to be hydrated. Your body needs it. Your brain needs it. Your kidney, your liver. Correct me if I'm wrong. And there's 90 essential nutrients and minerals that the body needs
That probably aren't in our water.
to be able to heal itself. It needs all of them, 90 of them. So one of the things that's great about Drip Bar. So anyways, what got me into Drip Bar is I was getting
That's
these
what I want to do.
IV
I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get to. Yeah.
I was getting these IVs infusions in Florida where
It's like interviewing Elon.
We're taking the long way around.
The scenic route.
there was no outline.
Okay, so listen to me. I'm going to get you there, right? So
So I started getting IV therapy in Florida where it's been IV therapy is not uncommon. It's been around since the 70s.
well, that's what Vince Sardo told me. He goes, I saw that there's an IV infusion place downtown, and he goes, I didn't realize that it's rare here because I've traveled the world and it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
He goes, everywhere I go, they have IV infusions.
Yes.
For health.
Yeah. So the guy who coined it was Dr. John Myers, and he created the Myers cocktail. He treated all of his patients with it. No one knows his exact formula, but they know what was in it.
Well, because
So-
IP.
Right. Right. So I was getting them and I was like, wow, I feel so much better. Like this is, and you don't put two and two together in the
Yeah.
beginning of things. And so I went down to Florida during COVID.
Oh, the land of freedom.
Well, yeah, well, we were all, so we went down. I took Colton down for 6 weeks. I got an IV infusion there. They came to your house and I was like, this is luxury at its finest. Like I'm sick. They're coming to my house. So,
What did mom say at the time, or do you not want to say? Did you hear about this?
Sorry. So at the time, Mom, I love you so much. I'm sorry. She was like raging.
That you were getting IV infusions at the house.
At the house. She was like, you don't know what's going to happen. And I was like, I do. I've had it. And she was like, you're teaching your son it's okay to put needles in his arm. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so she was like, I'm against this and I'm leaving and whatever.
This vitamin C is heroin.
Yeah. So like, I was just like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
So
Because she didn't understand.
because she didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And I totally get it. It's scary.
And neither do I.
No.
At the time.
At the time, we don't. But so when you take an IV, your body, it goes right into your bloodstream. So you can absorb 98 to 100% of that vitamin. Exactly. So what happens is your cells take in what it needs. And then over time, as your body doesn't need it, they're all water soluble. So you'll just
Like
urinate.
pee them out.
Yeah, but your cells take what they need, and anything that they don't need, they just kind of excrete it out through your urine. So except for A, E, D, and K, they're all fat soluble vitamins. And
So what solubility do you have orally?
so
Like if you sit around
about
and you're
25 to 35% absorption rate if you ingest something.
now people are going to say, well, I'll just take 3 times as much.
It doesn't work.
So you only get 30% on an oral.
Well, so here's the thing. Most of us are walking around our air with a bad gut, microbiome issue, poor gut health. So we have poor digestion,
Fatty
poor
liver.
absorption. Well, I mean, some, not all.
Yeah.
But, so if you have those things, especially if you have Crohn's, oh my God, why can't I think of the other one?
IBS.
Crohn's,
Colitis?
IBS, colitis, all that. You are not absorbing any of the nutrients through your gut.
So it's basically, if you have that, your gut is pretty, like,
You're
it's
just-
like paralyzed.
Yeah.
Yeah, malabsorption.
Yeah. You have malabsorption.
That's what it's called,
Yeah.
malabsorption.
So what's great about this is you take that out of it. So no matter what your gut health is, It doesn't matter because you're getting it right into your bloodstream in an IV.
So how did everybody learn this?
So
Like how do you go from like all this to then like of your past and then being like it takes like a certain what's the word? It takes a person with a certain constitution to say I need to I need to, you know, take the risk to try to help people get better in a way that is non-invasive. Well, there's really no downside to it in comparison.
No, but I'm super naive.
Oh, okay.
So no, in the sense where, like you said, I sought out this journey because I just want to scream from the rooftop that there is something that could help you.
Right.
That's unconventional, that works, that no one's talking about. Like, you know, make Scranton healthy again.
Oh, we should make hats.
Yeah, no, but here's the thing. That's my lifestyle. I eat, drink, and breathe that. I truly believe like you are what you eat. Food is thy medicine is thy food. You could reduce inflammation in your body by getting rid of the toxins. And something that the Drip Bar offers is we can help alleviate inflammation in the body by doing IV therapy.
All right, so let's talk about inflammation real quick. For all the people who have tuned out from the sciencey stuff, your loss. Where does inflammation come from?
Everywhere.
Give me examples. Give me like the stupid, simple, top of the heap inflammation reasons.
Just cell damage. Basically, it's all cell damage. So, like a nice
could it be
example.
food?
No, food.
It can be food. It can be air. It can be like
cigarette smoke.
Any like free radicals.
The free radicals.
So basically, anything can be
that's an environmental toxin.
Right.
All right. So when I think of inflammation, right, I think of like if I cut my finger or I burn my finger, it'll start to swell and
it's a wound inflammation.
That's what it looks like. So
infection.
when you say inflammation, you're talking about like your veins, your capillaries, your organs.
Every cell in your body
is now acting like, I just burnt my finger.
Mm-hmm.
Not like a first degree burn, like a simple. So your whole body is inflamed. So when your whole body is inflamed, does your endocrine or immune system react to that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing with the chronic, like the autoimmune stuff. That's chronic inflammation. That's why people who have like rheumatoid arthritis or lupus, the joints hurt, they swell, they have pain. And that's all inflammation based on your body attacking itself. Like that's one example.
Yeah, it's like oxidative stress, damage, mitochondrial dysfunction.
So how do you reverse that? How do you, or not even reverse it, but how do you limit it? Can you limit that with your diet?
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is that a lot of these people, and not all of them, but many people, their diet is the thing that inflames them.
Yes.
And if they change their diet, it's the thing that is deflame, anti-inflame. So their diet is the thing.
The diet is the thing that'll calm it down. Not necessarily cure it, but it will definitely help mitigate symptoms.
For example, dairy.
Yeah.
And
certain dairy and
certain gluten will make people inflamed. I'll give you an example. One of my best friends has an autoimmune disease. She has MS. One of the things her physician had said to her is, we're going to take you off gluten and dairy.
So we're just going to stop you eating these things.
Yeah. We're going to change your diet. Well, she hasn't had a flare up of MS since.
Since she changed her diet.
With no medication.
And no exercise or?
Oh, no. She does yoga. She works out every single day.
Did she do that before?
She's done yoga. Yoga saved her. She'll tell you that yoga saved her life.
Yeah.
Yes. But I mean, she talk about accountability. Her and my other best friend are my accountability partners at the gym. We wake up at 4:30. We go to the gym for a 5 a.m. class. And there's some days you don't want to go, but I know I have to pick Dawn up You know what I mean? So just to reiterate what you guys were saying about accountability, having that person in your life that wants to do the things that you're doing makes it a lot easier to do those things because it gives you both accountability. She knows she has to wake up because I'm going to pick her up. And I know I have to get out of bed because she's waiting for me.
Yeah. And she'll give you shit.
Yeah. We'll all give each other shit.
So
We
is
have
there,
to.
there's a prevalence of inflammation in this country.
Without a doubt.
And,
Sure.
and so, like, okay, you've watched the show. People think I'm a lunatic. Why? And you guys don't have to answer this. I'm just positing it as a question. Why would public health, the private health system, why would none of them encourage anyone to not eat or drink anything that is inflammatory? Because it seems like just the inflammation in and of itself leads to a lot of problems, or it could be like the root cause. It might not be like, all right, the whole foundation of the house broke because, you know, the pipe leaked over here. They're focusing on the foundation and not the leaky pipe. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So why, I mean, do you like,
So why
is
are
this,
they
is this
focusing-
talked about in private or public health? I don't see the conversation happening where it's like, maybe you shouldn't eat a seed oil or something like that. Maybe you shouldn't eat those things because it causes inflammation.
Well, I mean,
Like put the hot wing down.
yeah, it's always been, you know, hey, eat high fat foods. You're looking for your heart attack waiting to happen.
Yeah.
You know, low sodium.
Do
low
heart
fat.
attacks come from inflammation?
Well, that's one symptom.
I know. Yeah, I know this isn't like, oh, that's the reason.
Right.
You know, I know
mean,
it's a bunch of
but
them.
inflammation causes damage. What happens after your arteries get damaged is you get little plaque formations on them. And, you know, everybody has them. And again, 90% of the popular, whatever, I'm just throwing numbers out there, but the majority of people, you never know that you have them until you have a problem. If your diet's okay, the plaques either stay there, they get smaller. If you keep eating the crappy stuff, you're going to keep getting the inflammation. The plaques are going to keep building up in there because of that. All the saturated fat and everything else. And eventually you're going to have a heart attack. So everybody, you know, low sodium diets are good. Helps with blood pressure. Helps with inflammation. But again, I don't think you can just make a blanket statement and say stop eating this and you won't get that.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's a highly personal, subjective thing. You know,
But also, like, you can't lead you could lead a horse to water, but it's then up to the person to want to make a difference.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, like, when you said, is there a push for it? I don't know if there's a push for it, but I'm sure it's being.
I'm sure like the doctors, when you go see your general
Yeah.
practitioner is like,
yeah.
you ate 18 bags of onion rings today. Like maybe you
Right.
shouldn't do
Stop
that.
doing
Maybe
that.
just
Yeah.
fruit.
Try a
Right.
salad.
Yeah.
All right. So so that was like kind of like my health in America thing. Do you think that there's a real problem with health in America today?
100%.
And you guys both seem like
Well,
really empathetic people. You guys seem like
100%.
you really care about people, right?
Mhm.
So you'd want to advocate to get Americans or around here in Scranton healthier in any way that you can.
Just
And-
have
and
healthier,
choices?
reasonably priced choices. Like, for example, if you could go to McDonald's dollar menu. I don't even know if they have that anymore. I haven't been a fast food place anymore.
no,
It's
it's
kind of
inflation.
broken down differently now.
Oh, it's
but
not
yeah.
$1 anymore?
No.
No, you
Okay.
can get like a double, whatever. I'm not going to get into it. It's $3 for a
Okay.
McDouble and a 4-piece nugget.
Well,
though.
anyways, but you could buy one of those meals for
Guess you're not living healthy, dickhead.
$3 or $4, but the salad is, I don't know,
$8.
10 to 15.
That doesn't make any
It
sense.
doesn't make any sense. Why are you making it so difficult for people to make the right choice financially?
I don't know.
I mean, in the last couple of years, I've had to switch some things where like everything's not organic. It's the clean 15 and the dirty 15. So like whatever's on the clean 15, I won't buy organic just to save some money to still be able to have those things in my house.
So what you're saying is it's more expensive to eat healthy.
Yes. Yeah. It does.
That's crazy.
It has. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, you could buy a pack of ramen noodles for
50 cents.
50 cents.
yeah, and then you look at that stuff under a microscope and you're like, what's in there?
What is that?
What is
What's that
what's
thing
going into my
crawling?
body?
Yeah.
But
All
again, just piggybacking off that, what's easier, going for a walk to lower your blood pressure or popping a pill?
Oh, I think we've encouraged convenience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think we've motivated
easier?
people by convenience.
Mhm.
You know, like I look, I don't know if I'm not a doctor, but I have really concerns with like the stuff like Ozempic. I have really big concerns with it, and it's not, but because I think they're giving it to the wrong people. And I think when you give it to the wrong people, for the wrong reasons, bad things happen.
Sure.
You know, if you're 700 pounds, go for it. But if you're 150 pounds, not for you.
Mhm.
Not for you. It's much easier to go for a walk or you know.
No, it's not. It's much easier to get that shot.
I
than it is to
know.
go for
I
a walk.
know.
Come on, you get sweaty.
I know.
You're tired.
I think you got to tell them the walk is free. The other thing is
Correct.
$1,500. You know.
there you might get them there.
Yeah, but I don't.
No.
You know, that's another podcast when I'll bring on really crazy doctors. So get me to the Drip Bar. Get me to the Drip Bar as you want to open it, and then get me. And I want to hear your story about like why would you want to be a part of that? Okay, so how did the Drip Bar
So I came
come
home from
about?
Florida, and I said,
after doing the heroin?
"Yeah."
According to
after
Mom.
doing the heroin, I came
You're doing
home-
heroin in front of your son.
How dare you?
She called me that day, Dan.
Oh yeah.
Your sister is doing needles. I'm like, well, what's in it? She's like, vitamin C. And I'm like, oh my God. Take her to Marworth immediately.
Oh my God.
So, all right, keep going.
So I
So you had that experience,
So
Tom.
I had that experience. So anyways, I decide I really wanted to get into the wellness industry, whether it was fitness or something like this. But this just kept coming back to me. And, said to my husband, I was like, I don't want to go to Philly, New York, or Florida every time I want to feel better.
Yeah, to get like a drip.
Yeah. And he was like, why don't you just open one? And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So, I had Micah.
Yeah.
I knew that him and Lauren were looking into like the franchise industry. They were also looking into something in the wellness area.
Right.
So we decided to partner up and go for it. There's not very many in this area. There has been some other IV places that have opened up.
I think there's one or two in the area.
Yeah. And I'm so excited because
Yeah.
I think that it's going to be the future of healthcare.
Preventative medicine.
healthcare. If not, and not only preventative though, but it is alleviating people's symptoms now. So anyways, we open up the Drip Bar. Shoot, what did you ask me?
Why did you open the Drip Bar?
I'm sorry.
You see this? What people need to understand about you is that in your head is, in my opinion, an encyclopedic knowledge of things that harm and things that help.
Yeah.
And I think that people need to crack your brain open a little bit and ask you some of these things, but maybe not today. But like, I think sometimes you get lost in your thoughts because it's like, well, okay, well, that's the reason why I did this, and then
Yeah.
okay, so you guys
the reason
decided to
why-
open up the Drip Bar.
Yes.
But it was mainly you. Like you were like, I'm doing this come hell or high water.
Oh, I was like, I'm going to do this. We have to bring this to Scranton because you look around and
There is a lot of cancers and stuff.
there's
around
so
here.
much cancer here. Why?
Yeah.
The water. No, I don't know.
We can only speculate.
I just want, again, I told you, I'm fair. Like I just want to help everyone.
Yeah.
Like
You're a good person.
I just want to help everyone.
Yeah.
And so like if I could bring something that I know is benefiting to people all over and just Scranton is not progressively there yet. Well, I was like, well, what can I do? I mean, we would joke. Remember when we lived in Florida and we would come home and people like, oh my God, listen to this new song. And you're like, they've been playing that in Florida for a year.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like, we're just kind of behind. I don't know what the reason is, but I thought to myself, I want to bring something innovative, proactive, care, holistic care to people that have minimum to no side effects.
I think the thing with this area is I heard a joke once that when the world ends, Scranton has 8 years.
Yeah, we
I heard
all said
20. I heard 20 years.
That's
I
being
heard 10.
being overly generous. I don't think we're 20. Like
This was a while
we
ago.
weren't still
So
rolling
maybe we
8-track.
caught up.
Well, there was some 8-tracks in the 90s. People were still rocking those.
Listen, I saw a mullet the other day, so
They're back.
they're back.
Um,
They're back.
Yeah, I think the thing around here is that it historically, you know, when they build new hospitals, you got to be concerned about why they're doing that. What do they know that we don't know? Like,
Yeah.
are they expecting something? It's like building an Arby's in the middle of the desert. You don't do that unless you expect people to go there that are going to buy Arby's. So when you start building new hospitals around here and oncologists and stuff like that, like they know something's going on around here that their services are going to be needed by the people around here. I personally think that I don't want to put anybody out of business, but you know, eat better,
But I
drink
think
better stuff, and
Yeah, but I think we could coexist.
I do too. But like a red flag goes up for me to go like, oh, this whole area is about to get sicker, or something's going to happen where they know.
Oh, is that what you think?
That's what I think. Yeah. It's like you don't put up a thing that no one's going to use. It's like we had 3 hospitals here. Like why build another one within like 5 miles? Like it didn't make sense to me. So my you know,
You look further into
my reptile brain went, what do they
Yeah.
know that we don't know?
for sure.
And I'm not saying anything nefarious about that. I'm just saying like as a person who lives around here, I'm like, they think something's going on. It's like when you open a Chuck E. Cheese, it's like, oh, they're going to expect more kids to go. There's more kids in the area than we knew of. They're going to have a base. They're going to have customers. They're going to have all that. That's the only reason why I bring that up.
I think one of the misconceptions behind what we do is I've heard a lot of things. Overpriced urine, snake oil. I don't think that people actually know what it is we do at Drip Bar.
Oh,
Someone thought we were a coffee shop.
Wait, you have overpriced urine?
Yeah. No.
How much is urine going for nowadays?
A
Like
lot,
what is
apparently.
what's the market on urine?
But that's what the whole point is trying to get this information out to people to let them know that there are alternative treatments to help them. Maybe
So-
you're on the medication and the side effects are your leg's going to fall off. No, I don't know. It's terrible.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. But, you know, and you're like, is there something's not working? Like we have people that have Lyme disease, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, gout, anxiety, coming into Drip Bar, migraines, and having that be alleviated, that pain, that inflammation, that discomfort, all of that. Because what our physicians have done is they have created these programs that have these protocols on it. So you can come in and you could say, I'm suffering from chronic fatigue. Well, we have a protocol and a program for that. So you can come and get on our program, because one of the things that you have to do is you have to remember that it took your body a long time to become deficient. So you can't just come in one time and be like, oh, it didn't work. You have to, so this might be a good or a bad analogy, but I use it to the Prozac. So you are depressed, you go to the doctor, they give you Prozac. Well, you don't take the pill one time and you're happier, or your depression is gone. It takes a month or 2 months for you to be like, oh my gosh,
I feel better.
I feel better.
Yeah.
And so the same,
Or numb.
the same thing happens, you know, with us. You have to let it build up in your system. You have to come back a couple of times for it to be effective.
So tell me some of the things that like people would come in for, and then in other words, like if person A comes in for symptom B, what does that mean? And then what is like a cocktail that they can get, and what's in that would offset symptom B? All
right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
There's too many A's and B's.
All right.
So we're going to do just, for example, we just got the flu fighter this week.
Yes.
So the flu fighter has a high dose of vitamin C, zinc, and magnesium. So magnesium is going to help with the muscle cramping that you get when you're sick. The zinc is going to help with your immune system, and the vitamin C is an antioxidant. It's going to help with everything. It's your immune system. It's an antioxidant. I don't know about you, but I feel really good today.
I feel much better than I did yesterday. Much better.
The flu fighter has all those ingredients to help alleviate some of the symptoms that you're having. Now, I'm not saying I'm 100%, but damn, I'm better than I was Tuesday.
Yeah, and you didn't have to take an antibiotic and mess with your gut health and,
No.
and do any of that stuff.
No.
You're just getting an IV treatment.
Mhm.
Now, you and I talked about, what was it? NAC?
NAD.
NAD.
Mhm.
Will you tell me about NAD? And you guys offer this
So
there, right?
NAD is one of our health support drips. So we have 4 health support drips and 17 lifestyle drips. They're a little bit different. So on a health support drip, it requires a consult with our physician. The high dose vitamin C requires lab work. And I'm sorry, I think he asked you.
Yes, NAD.
It's okay. NAD.
Yeah. You said you did that.
Yes.
Okay. What's the process for that and what does it do?
Oh,
And then tell me about your experience with it because I found it nuts.
it was great. No, NAD. So it's a coenzyme that will, basically it's a kind of like an anti-aging. It's basically a body reset. What it does, you put it in the IV, you have to run it really slow because it directly affects the mitochondria in every single cell in your body.
All right. For those that didn't go to science class in grade school, what is a mitochondria?
That's
It's the powerhouse of your
the
cell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
Wow, it's stereo.
Give me a Coke.
All right, well, I guess if 2 people say it at the same time, it must be true.
So what happens is it starts, repairing cells, spitting out new cells.
Yeah.
But the process itself can be a little uncomfortable because the mitochondria are using a ton of oxygen. So your heart rate's going to increase. Your respirations are going to increase. You can feel tingling, numbness going up and down your body. Like if you're doing a really heavy
Anxiety.
physical workout, you can feel like that. You'll sit there, you start breathing. It feels like, pressure in your chest. So what you do, we slow the drip down. You slow the drip down or you stop the drip and give yourself 5 minutes because it's like a light switch. As soon as you stop it, that goes away. But as long as those mitochondria are being fed that NAD, they're going to work and you're going to feel it.
So it's going to rebuild and repair it. Like he said.
Repairs every single cell in your body.
So we make it. And as we age, though, correct me if I'm wrong, we start to lose it.
Correct.
Mitochondria.
No.
NAD.
NAD. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
What does that stand for?
I can't pronounce
Fair enough. NAD.
it. Sorry.
So what did it feel like for you? Because if I'm not mistaken, it's a series or a one-time.
No, it's a series.
It's a series. Yeah.
Okay.
You have to start, low and slow. Now there's NAD, there's the ALA. What's the other? I know
Heavy
there's-
metal detox.
Well, there's glutathione. I mean,
The glutathione.
so you can start. We're going way off track.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Basically, the whole thing, you can go low and slow with the glutathione drip. Glutathione is like the master antioxidant. Your liver makes it, but it's also one of the precursors. Glutathione will make NAD. It's just
I didn't know that. Okay.
It's a slower process. If you are not patient, you don't want to wait that long, then you just go straight to the NAD. But that's like going from like a go-kart to a Formula One car.
Okay.
It's
a big leap.
They'll both get you there, but one will go a lot faster than the other.
What did you notice after you did that?
So when it was all said and done, like I felt like I do coming out of a yoga class. Like it felt like I just had a really good workout and I was just like, okay, had more energy, slept like a baby, all night long, but, funky lucid dreams, which your brain is resetting, much, higher focus, more concentration, like no brain fog. Just felt like a good 10 years younger.
You felt 10 years younger.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Well, if you see all in Hollywood, everyone's doing the NAD in Hollywood. Like it's so funny because your phone listens. So every time you talk about it, it's like all I'm seeing right now is all of these people pushing NAD. You had Justin Bieber, you had Kendall Jenner, Hailey Bieber. They're all getting IV NAD. So it's not like a radical thing. Everyone's
No, it's not. I don't think
No.
it is. I think it's one of those things that no one's
is
heard
how
of.
helpful it is for you in repairing everything. Like he said, feeling better, feeling younger.
So,
They're also doing, if I'm not mistaken, some small clinical trials using NAD, if not to reverse, then to kind of halt symptoms of Parkinson's disease.
No kidding. And so that probably has to do something with
It's
the mitochondria and
and regenerating nerve cells.
really. I wonder. I'd be curious to look into those. Not like right now, Dan. I'm kidding. You don't have to look that up right now. Okay, so what is offered there and why? Like, what does it do? So, like, what are some of the drips that you have? You have Flu Fighter.
So we have the Power Pack, the Flu Fighter, we have the Debut, we have the Post-Op.
Most people get the Debut when they go, right?
No,
What do they get?
Power Pack.
Oh, really?
Like your first visit, the majority of people come in and say, I'm tired. So one of the recommendations that we have for someone who comes in and they're chronically fatigued is we try to get them on a Power Pack protocol. That would be, I mean, we have a post-viral, we have the Shield to protect your immune system. We have the Time Machine. We have
Pre and post-op ones.
Yeah, pre and post-op.
What's that mean? If you're going for surgery?
Yeah.
No kidding. What? Okay, so like what drip would it be pre and what drip would it be post? Is it just vary?
No, the pre-op.
The pre-op is pre-surgery. The
pre-surgery
post-op
and the post is for post-surgery.
Yeah. So what would the one be like? What would be in the pre-op drip as opposed to like the post-op drip, or is it the same thing?
No. What happens is the doses change.
Okay.
And there's, I think there's glutamine in one and not the other. But but we have add-ons. So if you wanted to add anything on, we could add that onto your bag.
Yeah, I know a lot of times people add glutathione into their bags.
Yes. Well, it's a push.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. It's not in the bag; they put it in. What if for skeptical people, like, because this is people don't like needles.
I know.
And people are very like, look, if people were really skeptical of their food, they'd stop eating it, but they're not. If they're really skeptical about their environment, they'd change it, but they're not. So like, what is it about? Like, what could you tell people to not have the hesitation to go? I mean, look, I go like once a week, once every 2 weeks. And I know that like, I know the needle's coming and it literally barely hurts for like a 1/1000.
What's the worst part?
Ripping the Band-Aid off the hair or ripping the plastic thing off the hair, the sticker.
I think you could talk on like the needle, how it's just a catheter.
Yeah, I mean, it's a plastic catheter. It's a tiny 22 gauge needle. It's the smallest needle that they make that's really useful to put anything through. Anything smaller than that, you're going to be camped out down there for like a day and a half trying to get this fluid into you. A 22 gauge needle.
But the needle doesn't stay in.
No, the needle itself.
It gets pulled right out.
Yeah. And then after that, it's just a plastic catheter that's in there. So you can bend your arm around, you can move, you can do everything. Yeah, I mean, it's a tiny, like we say, tiny.
I mean, there's a lot of
stick.
things
There's
we try
really
to do to
nothing.
help people with their anxiety of the needle. As you can tell now that I'm a talker. So I'll go up and I'll try to we'll talk them through it. I'll try to distract them, and just get to. I like to get to know everyone that comes in. I just want to know who you are, what's going on, what can I help you with?
Yeah, how better to
how much
to help you?
Yeah, so I kind of do that while people are getting.
Well, okay, so I have to go to this dinner in a little bit, so we're gonna try wrap. Is everybody okay?
Yeah.
Okay. What are some of the things that maybe either one of you doesn't think people know that they should know about Drip Bar Scranton?
So we had some people come in. We're doing the Lyme protocol, and this is the first time that I had met them coming in, and I'm watching them come across Adams Avenue, and it looked like they were just finishing up the Baton Death March. Like they were
really
bad. Like they're older. The gentleman had a cane, he was bent over, wife moving real slow. In they come. We sit down, we get their vital signs, we mix up the power packs for them. Start their IVs.
Were they older?
Yes.
Okay.
they go in maybe about an hour, and you sit there and you're watching them, and like the twinkle in the eyes come back, and they're sitting there and they're, having fun. I said, "How we doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm good. I think I can walk home." I said, "You can walk home?" He goes, "I might feel like running."
Really?
Yeah.
So came in with like leaning on that cane, walked out, just holding it in his hand. Off he went. Like, to see something like that, like that's, instant gratification right there. You just made that person that much better in 1 hour's time.
I mean, they are my favorite people, hands down. The people that he is speaking about now, and they come.
Do they come often now?
They come every 2 weeks, and the gentleman he's talking about is 90 years old. Best guy ever. I just love him to death. He knows. Is it 2 weeks yet? I need my drip.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
And he gets a power pack every time?
Yeah. Oh, with a power pack with a glutathione push. They've now switched to Time Machine.
So you're
this
seeing
month. They love it.
So you get to see like this. So you guys get to see like, okay, is there any
I'll tell you another one. We'll go talk about our mother. And I'm only telling you this because she said I could.
She's
Mark
doing
speaks
heroin
freely about your mother. So.
Yeah, I've
No,
never
but this
not
is
spoken
HIPAA.
freely of mom.
No.
Oh, she said you can talk about it?
Oh yeah, she
Okay.
said tell everybody.
Okay.
So my very skeptic mother came in.
The one who said she's doing heroin.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she came in and she gets a drip. Now she is a very hard stick. She has very deep veins. She just doesn't have.
Hard stick is tough to get the
Yeah,
idea.
because her veins are so deep. Maybe that's a misconception we could talk about, is that not every single person is an IV candidate at the Drip Bar. And I'll
Okay.
get into that. But anyway,
Okay.
so mom comes in, she doesn't think anything. She's like, I'm going to get the Time Machine. I want something youthful. But the Time Machine has a lot of really great anti-inflammatory things in it. Plus it comes with a really big push of glutathione at the end. So she ends up getting the drip. She's done. And she starts walking towards me. But as she's walking towards me, she's going like this. And I was like, oh, fuck, what's the matter?
Yeah.
That my instant with like, and she's like, I go, what's wrong with your hand? She goes, there's no more pain. She goes, I literally have no pain in my hands right now. Now, I don't know if you know this, but mom has to wear copper gloves in the winter because of the pain in the cold.
I didn't know that.
So yeah. So anyway, I was like, oh my gosh, that's great. Like, I'm so happy. And she's like, I can't believe it. So she calls me. She goes, I'm going to Sam's Club. I'll see you later. She calls me 2 hours later. She goes, what the fuck was in that bag? My back pain is gone. I was like, why I'm telling the story also is just because it has a name on it. Now, I would have never recommended the Time Machine for mom at that time. I would have probably recommended all glutathione, or I would have recommended, the Shield or something else that had like higher vitamin C in it, something. So it reacted great for her. So now she comes in every month and gets a Time Machine.
And yeah, she was telling me that her pain went away. Because she had like joint pain and stuff like that.
Yeah. And so she must have like a chronic inflammation in her back. Because remember, she used to get those cortisone shots?
Yeah.
So she stopped. She had her max limit of cortisone shots.
So she stopped getting them.
Well, yeah, you can't get them anymore. But whatever, we think it's the glutathione though, for sure.
That's crazy.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's crazy like in a good way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But
what did you want to say? The deep veins thing? You want to talk
yeah.
about
So
that?
one of the things that I think that we just touch on is sometimes people come in there and they have expectations that it's just going to be this smooth process and it's going to go great. But not all of us have these big juicy veins that are just sticking out for
Right.
someone to get at.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different factors that I think that he should probably talk on it. But, sometimes you can come in and you're too dehydrated and nothing is popping up. And we do our best. We put heat on the vein. I'll let Colin.
Yeah.
This is the medical part.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
School me, Yoda.
Yeah. I mean, again, if you come in, you're dehydrated, it's more challenging because your veins are flat. So we'll try, tourniquets, heat packs. That family we were just talking about, remember? She was tough.
Yeah.
It was a struggle with some of them. Like we've had them there and they'd sit for an hour with heat on their arms just to get something to pop. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't, we can offer IM injections, which a lot of them are kind of the same thing that are in
Just smaller dose.
IV. Smaller doses and you don't get the extra fluid.
Right.
But yeah, it's just a 2 ml.
Right. It's better than
Nothing.
coming down there for nothing. You still get the benefits of it, but it's not my job to poke you 1,000 times.
Yeah, poke and hope isn't good
It's
at the Drip Bar.
No, poke and hope isn't good anyway.
No, especially Drip Bar or construction.
Correct.
Oh, that's not where the stud is.
Right. So, we give it our best shot. If I don't see anything, I'm not going to just blindly go sticking you. Number one, it's a good way to get infected. Number two, it's a good way to damage something I can't see what's under your skin. So, that's the one big thing that can be tough. Because people do come in with the expectation that I'm going to get this and feel better. And sometimes it's not working.
Is it sometimes when you're like, hey, I need you to drink like a liter of water right now, and then maybe
Have a lot of sodium.
Salt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes that could be helpful.
So the people who work there, right?
Mhm.
What is the lowest form of education degree that they have?
You could be in the state of Pennsylvania. So you could be an LPN
Yeah.
and do the only thing you can't do is push meds.
So what's the range of experts at Drip Bar?
RNs and
So LPNs and RNs?
Mhm.
Huh.
But the LPN right now is in school to be an RN.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we have all RNs. Like I said, we have a medical director. When you come to Drip Bar, you have a consult with the physician your first visit.
Yeah, it's like a FaceTime, isn't it?
Yeah, or
Kinda
it could
like
just
that.
be like a telehealth.
Okay.
It usually is a FaceTime or a Zoom. But he goes through everything to make sure you have no heart, kidney, lung issues, no allergies, that kind of thing. And then everything gets mixed in a sterile hood on site.
A very expensive sterile hood.
It's very expensive.
All right. I want to talk about, because I got to go to that thing.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about Dr.
exciting
Steve
event.
Rallis.
Yeah.
Okay. Dan,
Oh.
Yes,
can you work your magic?
I can.
Is it up?
It is.
You got to click it. There it is. Hey, there's Drip Bar Scranton. We're going to pull it up at the end too.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. You went too far, too fast. I wanted to push Drip Bar. 200 Adams Avenue, 570-980-2544, dripbar.com/Scranton. Okay. Go to the next one. Did you see I made animated backgrounds for this? Just wanted you to know I care about you so much that the blue and the white are moving and they're almost like your colors.
I didn't notice it.
Tell me about Steve Rallis.
So, as you could see,
Into
Dr.
the
Steve
microphone. Yep.
he is a medical director. He is the lead medical director at Drip Bar Canada. He is also a naturopath physician and a chiropractor. He has recently wrote a book.
You can show the book to the camera. There it is.
There it is.
Yep.
And it's a very amazing book. He is going to do a book tour and he's going to come to Scranton October 11th. And he's going to give a presentation and he's going to do a book signing and talk about his book.
So, internationally recognized authority on IV vitamin C and the supportive treatment of cancer, Dr. Rallis is committed to helping integrative functional medicine into conventional cancer care. Is there is a connection between oncology and
Yes.
IV medicine or IV infusion medicine?
Yes.
Is that
So the latest research has shown that not only does high dose vitamin C kill cancer cells, but can also heighten the efficacy of chemotherapy when it's worked hand in hand together.
okay? And I think whoever's watching this should not just look at a picture of this handsome man in his book. We found a clip that we're going to show kind of about his story real quick, and then we'll come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ready, Dan?
Okay.
Colin, all we do is bust Dan's balls. It's all we do.
That's all right.
When did my journey into natural medicine begin? I guess I'd have to go back to a snowy set of mornings in my hometown of Owen Sound, Ontario. Covered in bruises, my pillow stained red each morning from persistent nosebleeds. I was tentatively diagnosed with leukemia. I was 5 years old. After a second series of lab tests, I was rushed to Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto where my condition was downgraded to thrombocytopenia. After a bone marrow biopsy and an additional series of tests, I was transferred to my local hospital where I was kept under observation for several weeks. The doctors and specialists were perplexed and could offer no explanation as to how this condition could arise in an otherwise healthy child. More disconcerting, was that they could offer no suggestions on how this condition might improve. One day, as late winter had turned to spring, my mother arrived to the hospital with a large mason jar full of wild dandelions and olive oil and lemon. She put them on my plate, and she suggested I eat them. The next day, the doctors and nurses were amazed at the reduction in the size of bruises on my body. By the end of the week, they were virtually gone. My nose and gums had stopped bleeding, and my lab work was amazingly returning to normal. Within a month, I was as healthy as I had always been. This was my first experience with food as medicine, and an experience which I believe fundamentally influenced many of my future decisions and directions as a doctor. I started my practice in the summer of 1999 here in Barrie, Ontario, with the idea that a small-town chiropractor could really make a difference. Since that time, I've seen a colossal shift in primary care. Small family medicine clinics have rapidly disappeared, replaced with large industrial walk-in clinics with a roster of rotating doctors. Care times have increased, while actual care has decreased. Signs are now routinely posted asking patients to limit questions and concerns to 1 or 2 issues. Healthcare has become sick care. Frustration amongst family doctors is forcing many to leave the profession. By 2009, I too had reached my threshold. On the heels of completing a speaking tour across North America in support of lifestyle medicine, it was clear to me that my experience and expanding skills had begun to exceed the scope of my practice, and more importantly, the needs of my patients. If I was ever to fulfill my vision of a better primary care practice, I knew a secondary medical degree was necessary. And so began my 6-year odyssey to complete my naturopathic medical degree, my prescribing license, and my IV certification. Each morning I would see patients, then drive to the college or to a clinic, drive back and see patients again until well into the evening, go home, tuck my kids into bed, and study well into the night. Wake up and repeat. When board exams rolled around, sometimes there was no sleep. What kept me going beyond the love of my wife and my kids, my amazing staff, the support of my patients, was this idea of what primary care family medicine could be. I imagined a medicine that uses lifestyle and nutrition first and drugs second. Primary care is by its very definition the first care or contact, the first opinion. The reality is that good doctors treat people, not diseases, and I think that this doctor-patient relationship is perhaps the most important in all of medicine. For me, primary care has to emphasize prevention over intervention and prioritize the collaborative use of powerful, safe, and drug-free alternative medicines such as plant medicines, chiropractic care, and acupuncture whenever possible over opiates and other addictive and harmful substances. Primary care should respect and acknowledge each patient's unique biochemical and individuality and emphasize the optimization of both structure and function. Primary care, above all, should respect, not subvert, the healing connection we have to our planet. So today, when I treated the 46-year-old male recovering from a recent heart attack, anxious about his future, or the 65-year-old who had just been diagnosed with prostate cancer and yet has so much life left in them, or the 19-year-old I saw dealing with depression and anxiety, I think about that 5-year-old boy and his parents, scared out of their minds, faced with the fear of the unknown. And I've come to realize how far we've come and how the future of primary care may actually be closer than you think. Till next time, be well.
I mean, I don't disagree with any of that.
No.
He seems like, I've always thought that there's like this middle road between Western and Eastern medicine. You know, heal thyself. And, you know, this guy, I can't wait to see him. What's it, October 11th?
October 11th, 7 o'clock at the Drip Bar. I think it's a great time to come in and just see our facility, see what we're about, and hear what we're about.
And everybody's invited.
Everybody's invited.
And he's going to talk about
His book, his treatment with high dose vitamin C in cancer.
I don't think that this is crazy.
No, it's not.
I think it's pretty awesome. And it's pretty. Now, you saw him, right? You saw him speak.
Yes. We just had a conference, a Drip Bar conference in Boston. And I got the privilege of hearing him speak there.
And was he good?
Yeah. Oh my God. He was great. Did you just hear this guy? He's my dream.
Yeah.
Like, he's your dream doctor right there, in my opinion. If you're going into the doctor and your doctor is not asking you, what's your diet? What's your lifestyle? He's doing you the biggest disservice ever.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Sorry. It's my opinion.
That's okay. You gonna try to go, Colin?
Absolutely.
And do you think people are gonna? We got to get a lot of people there. A lot of people need to see this guy talk.
Yeah, listen, don't take, and I always say, don't take, anything
Hear him
I
out.
say.
If you believe it, you believe it. If you don't, you don't.
But I always tell everyone, don't take anything I say. And, I'm much better speaking when I'm not in front of a camera. But
she's doing all right, Dan.
This has been the worst interview we've ever had.
I feel like
top
it has
five.
been.
Top five.
But I always tell people, don't take what I say or anyone else says. Look into it. Do the research. See what's the best fit for you. See the alternatives. But never just blindly trust someone. Not me, not your physician. Get a second opinion, a third opinion.
I started changing. I started changing my life. I lost 50 pounds. I do fasting every now and again, and I take all the vitamins. And
who started you on that?
You did.
I did.
You did.
I did.
You have turned me on. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have made it through COVID. If it wasn't for you. I wouldn't have thought. I wouldn't have used my brain. I wouldn't have. But I think it's your empathy that inspires me. I want to make sure that no one else hurts.
Yeah.
Reduce human suffering. I'm excited to see this guy. I'm excited for everything that you guys are doing. I think that this is a really good alternative, if not maybe the first thing to go to when it comes to health. I think what you guys are doing is incredibly
there's a lot more
profound
stuff coming down the pipeline through as well.
There's stuff
about
coming.
More precision-based medicine that we could do. So I'm really eager and excited to get.
Well, you come back. Everybody want to come back?
Yeah,
we'll talk.
come back.
We'll talk crazy
Absolutely.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get
time.
weird.
That time would be like, what they're putting in the food.
No, we're good.
I have to go to this thing. Look, you did a great job.
Thanks
you
for having
I
us.
knew Colin was he's like, this is like his 12th time on the Tonight Show. Like, he doesn't give a shit.
It's on phase. It's all the yoga.
It's all the yoga. He
But
doesn't
guys, go
care.
see Colin
That's
Thursday
right.
night.
Now, where can we plug the yoga place or no?
We can't plug the yoga
Okay.
place because, the yoga place is under construction.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We were doing outdoor yoga, but the last class is going to be on
Is there a way for
Sunday.
people to get in touch with you in case they want to do it in the future? Would there be avenues for that we could push to get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me. Yeah.
What's a good way?
Good way just to hit me on the DMs and Instagram.
Hit him on the DMs.
On Instagram? What's your
Yeah.
handle?
It is at COL.
Oh no, I threw you for a loop.
You did throw me for a loop.
I didn't mean to.
Yeah, you did.
We'll put it in the description.
We'll put it in the description.
There you go.
One more plug.
Hi-Yo.
Hi-yo.
Anybody who hasn't had Hi-Yo, you should try a Hi-Yo. It's an
They're
incredible
great.
alternative to alcohol, and there is no alcohol in it, and
Nope.
it makes you feel
30
good.
calories. Only 3 grams of added sugar. Ashwagandha's in it. Lion's mane mushrooms. All organic.
All the good
Available
stuff.
at the Drip Bar, isn't it?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
No.
We want it to be.
I want
Hi-Yo.
Hi-yo.
Oh, you just have it in your fridge down there. I've seen it.
Hi-Yo.
I do have it in my fridge.
Hi-Yo, do you want to sponsor us? It would be really nice. Or
Because we love your
or
drink.
send us free samples because I really love Hi-Yo.
I think it's better than can.
Well, can has THC, so there's two different things there.
No, this does not do that.
Yeah.
No. Feel the float is their whole thing. 3, and you're calm as can be.
Colin Kearney, Melissa Dennebaum Cianci,
Thank you, sir.
Daniel
Thank you, sir.
Kozar.
Hi, I'm here too.
I am so happy and grateful that you guys are in town doing this, and more people need to look into it and lose their intimidation of going
100%.
in. They can go in and talk to you. Nobody's going to walk in that door and be forced to have a drip. You can go in
Never.
and ask questions. You could feel it out. You could talk to the nurses. You could talk to the staff. I think everybody should in this area who wants to feel a little bit better should go do that. We didn't talk about this, but if you're hungover, great place to go.
Place to
There's
go.
a bar and a church on every corner in Scranton. You should probably go get a drip afterwards. You have people coming in going like, man, I had too much fun last night.
Believe it or not, we have only had a handful. The
Okay.
majority of people that are coming in are actually,
I want to be healthy.
I want to be better. I want to feel better. But listen, we could
You could juice them
cure a
up.
hangover.
All right. Thank you so much. Dan,
Thanks
you want
for
to say
having
it?
us.
What a week.